I discovered my wife's affair on a Friday night. But the worst part? I'd known for weeks. Most people think betrayal's worst moment is the discovery. Walking in, seeing your spouse with someone else, that instant where your world shatters. They're wrong. The worst moment is when you realize you already knew. When you understand that for weeks, maybe months, you've been ignoring the signs because facing them meant admitting your entire life was a lie. My name is George Adams, and I'm 33 years old. I'm a systems analyst who believed in marriage, in trust, in building a future with someone. 3 months ago, my wife Marianne brought her lover Daniel Romero into our home, thinking I was out of town on business. She thought she was being careful. She thought I was stupid. What she didn't know was that I'd been planning a party for weeks, just not the kind she expected. By the time I was finished, she wished she'd never met me. But let me start from the beginning. Before I go any further, let me know in the comments where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow I will share a story you don't want to miss. I first suspected Marianne was cheating on a Tuesday morning in our kitchen, coffee brewing, sunlight streaming through the windows we'd picked out together 3 years ago. She changed her phone password. Small thing, right? Except we'd shared passwords for 7 years. Her phone sat on the counter between us, and when I glanced at it, the lock screen showed a new passcode prompt instead of her usual 4 digits I could recite in my sleep. New password? I asked, keeping my voice casual. She didn't even look up from her toast. Yeah, work's requiring more security. You know how IT gets. I worked in IT. They weren't requiring anything. That was the first sign. Then came the late nights at the office. Marianne arriving home at 9, 10 p.m., smelling like hotel soap instead of her usual perfume. New lingerie appeared in her drawer, black lace and red silk I never saw her wear. She started going to the gym at 9 p.m., which made no sense when she'd always been a morning person. You know what I do for a living? I'm a systems analyst. I solve problems by identifying patterns in data, and Marianne's behavior was showing a pattern that made my stomach turn every time I looked at her. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because confronting someone without evidence just gives them time to cover their tracks, to refine their lies, to make you feel crazy for even asking. So I collected data instead. I hired a private investigator named Thomas Whitmore on a Thursday afternoon, meeting him at a coffee shop across town where no one we knew would see us. He was maybe 50, graying hair, the kind of face that blended into crowds, perfect for his job. 3,000 retainer, Thomas said, sliding a contract across the table. 2 weeks of surveillance, comprehensive report, photographic evidence if applicable. How often do you find evidence? I asked. Thomas looked at me with tired eyes. If someone's hiring me, 80% of the time their suspicions are correct. People's instincts are usually right. They just don't want to believe them. I signed the contract and wrote the check. My hands shook. For 2 weeks, I went about my life like normal. Made Marianne breakfast, kissed her goodbye, discussed our weekend plans, our future, the family we kept saying we'd start next year. Every conversation felt like swallowing glass. Then Thomas called me on a Monday evening. I have what you need. Can you meet tomorrow? Tuesday afternoon, I sat in Thomas's office while he laid out surveillance photographs on his desk like evidence at a crime scene. Because that's what it was, wasn't it? Evidence of someone killing a marriage. His name's Daniel Romero, Thomas said. Divorced sales manager at your wife's company. They've been meeting regularly for 4 months. 4 months. I stared at the photographs. Marianne and Daniel at a restaurant, his hand covering hers. Marianne and Daniel outside the Hilton on West Street, her body pressed against his. Marianne and Daniel in his car in the parking garage at her office, her head tilted back in a way I recognized from our own intimate moments. Hotel receipts, Thomas continued, sliding papers across. Same hotel, same room number, 412, every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 16 weeks. He pays with a credit card. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I repeated. The nights Marianne claimed she had late client meetings. There's more. Thomas pulled out his phone, showed me text message screenshots. She's been telling him you're out of town Friday through Sunday. Chicago conference. I was supposed to go to Chicago, a systems analysis conference I'd registered for months ago. She invited him to your house, Thomas said quietly. Friday night. She told him you wouldn't be back until Sunday. Our house, our bed, the bed where we'd made love, where we'd talked about our dreams, where I'd held her when her father had his heart attack last year. I have timestamps, photographs, receipts documenting everything. Thomas said. "If you're planning to file for divorce, this is airtight evidence of adultery." I took the manila folder he offered. It was heavy, comprehensive documentation of 4 months of betrayal. That night, I sat in my home office with the folder open, spreading photographs across my desk. There was Marianne laughing at something Daniel said. Marianne in the lingerie I'd never seen. Marianne kissing him with a passion I hadn't seen directed at me in over a year. 4 months of lies. 4 months where I'd made her breakfast, discussed baby names, planned our anniversary trip. 4 months where she'd looked me in the eye every single day and chosen deception. I stared at those photographs for 3 hours. My coffee went cold. The house settled into silence around me. And somewhere in that silence, something inside me shifted, hardened into something cold and deliberate. I wasn't going to Chicago. I was going to be right here Friday night. And I wasn't going to be alone. If Marianne wanted to bring Daniel Romero into my house, into my bed, then fine. But she was going to do it in front of an audience. Wednesday morning, I walked into the kitchen and found Marianne making coffee. She was wearing one of my old college t-shirts, her hair pulled back, looking exactly like the woman I'd fallen in love with 8 years ago. "Hey," I said, pouring myself a cup. "So I'm heading out tomorrow night for Chicago. Conference runs through the weekend. I'll be back Sunday." She turned, smiled, wrapped her arms around my waist. "I'll miss you. 3 whole days without you." She kissed me, soft, familiar, exactly like she'd kissed me 1,000 times before. I watched her face while she did it. Searched for guilt, for hesitation, for any sign that she was about to spend those 3 days fucking another man in our bed. Nothing. Her eyes were clear. Her smile was genuine. She kissed me again and went back to her coffee. That's when I knew, really, truly knew, the woman I'd married was gone. Erased, replaced by someone who could lie with her entire body and not feel a thing. "I'll make it up to you when I get back," I said. "You better," she grinned. "Maybe we can finally have that conversation about starting a family. I've been thinking about it a lot lately." I wanted to throw my coffee mug through the window. Instead, I kissed her forehead. "Yeah, we'll talk." Wednesday afternoon, I drove 40 minutes to the suburbs, to a quiet street with neat lawns and swing sets in backyards. Daniel Romero's house was a modest 2-story with a Honda Civic in the driveway. A woman answered the door. Pretty, tired eyes, toddler on her hip. The little girl had Daniel's dark hair. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Hi, I'm George. I work with Daniel. Well, not directly, but same company network." I put on my friendliest smile. "I'm organizing a surprise party for my wife Marianne's birthday Friday night, and I wanted to include some of her work friends." "Is Daniel around?" "He's at the office." She shifted the toddler to her other hip. "But I can make sure he knows." "What time?" 8 p.m. I pulled out my phone, showed her our address. "It's a surprise, so please don't mention it if you talk to Marianne." Jasmine, I'd learned her name from Thomas's report, smiled warmly. "That's so sweet. Daniel will be there. He talks about Marianne sometimes. They're on a project together, right?" "Yeah. Big project." The lie tasted like acid. "Thanks so much. And hey, you're welcome to come too if you can get a sitter." "Oh, I might just do that. It's been forever since we've been out." She looked so genuinely pleased, so completely unaware that her husband was the reason I was standing on her doorstep. I drove away feeling sick, but I didn't stop. Thursday was phone calls, one after another, each one a thread in the web I was weaving. My brother Kevin first. "Hey man, I need a favor. Can you come over Friday night? 8 o'clock? What's going on? I'll explain when you get there. Just trust me. I need you there." Kevin was quiet for a moment. "This about Marianne?" "Yeah, I'm there." Then Diane, Marianne's sister. The call I dreaded most because Diane actually liked me, had always treated me like real family. "George, what's up?" "Hey Diane. So I'm throwing a surprise party for Marianne Friday night. Her birthday's coming up, and I wanted to do something special. Can you make it? 8 p.m. Our place?" "Oh my God, she's gonna love that. Of course I'll be there. Should I bring anything?" "Just yourself. And don't tell her. I want it to be a real surprise." Riley and Ellie Jensen were easier. Couple friends who'd known us both for years. Fred McKinley, my college buddy who I hadn't seen in months but who jumped at the chance to reconnect. Then the hard ones, Albert and Clarice Hansen, Marianne's parents. "George, how lovely to hear from you," Clarice answered, her voice warm. "Hi, Clarice. Listen, I'm planning a surprise party for Marianne's birthday Friday night. I'd love for you and Albert to be there, 8 o'clock at our place." "Oh, she'll be thrilled. We'll absolutely be there. Should we bring the photo albums? You know how she loves looking at old pictures." My throat tightened. "Sure, that'd be great." Clarice had no idea what those photo albums would be witnessing. Thursday night, I installed the cameras. Living room, bedroom, kitchen. Small, discreet, high definition. I already had Thomas's evidence, airtight, court-ready documentation. These cameras weren't for the lawyer. They were for leverage, for the moment when Marianne tried to spin this, tried to make herself the victim, tried to claim I'd misunderstood or overreacted. I tested each angle, made sure the bedroom camera had a clear view of the bed. Our bed. The bed we'd shared for 7 years. Yeah, I wanted that recorded. Friday afternoon, my phone buzzed. A text from Marianne, a selfie of her at her desk, looking tired but smiling. "Working late tonight. Miss you already?" I opened Find My iPhone. Her location showed she wasn't at her office. She was at Victoria's Secret. I sat in the garage at 6:30 p.m., watching her location marker move from the lingerie shop to a salon, then to a wine shop. She was preparing, getting ready for him. My phone buzzed again. Another selfie, this one from what looked like a coffee shop. "So much work. Wish you were here to rescue me." I typed back, "Miss you, baby? Can't wait to see you Sunday." 3 dots appeared. Then, "Miss you too." I stared at that heart emoji for a long time. Thought about all the times she'd sent me that same heart. How many of those had been lies? How many times had she texted me sweet nothings while planning her next hotel room with Daniel? The garage was quiet, cool. I'd positioned myself where I could see the driveway through the window but couldn't be seen from outside. My car was parked 2 blocks away. As far as Marianne knew, I was in Chicago. At 7:15, her car pulled into the driveway. I watched her check her makeup in the rearview mirror, saw her smile at her own reflection. She looked happy, excited. She had no idea I was 20 feet away, watching her prepare to destroy our marriage. At 7:40, a black Audi pulled up behind her car. Daniel Romero stepped out, holding flowers and a bottle of wine. Like this was a date. Like he was courting her properly. He walked to the front door. Marianne opened it before he could knock, and then he kissed her. Deep, passionate. His hands on her waist, pulling her close, her fingers tangled in his hair. They stood there in my doorway, on my property, kissing like lovers who'd been apart for weeks instead of the 2 days since their last hotel room. I watched it all, forced myself to watch every second. Burned it into my memory so I'd never forget what she'd chosen over 7 years of marriage. They disappeared inside. The door closed. I waited. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they were safe, that they had all night, that I was halfway across the country eating conference chicken and sitting through PowerPoint presentations. At 8:10, Kevin's truck pulled up. He parked on the street like I'd asked, walked to the front door. I met him in the driveway. "Park on the street," I whispered. "Come in quiet. It's a surprise." He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Whatever he saw in my face, he trusted it. Riley and Ellie came next, then Fred. Each time, I gave the same instruction. Park on the street, enter quietly, gather in the living room. By 8:25, my living room was full of confused people whispering to each other, trying to figure out why there were no decorations, no cake, no sign of a birthday party. Diane arrived. Then Albert and Clarice, Marianne's parents, looking excited to surprise their daughter. At 8:35, Jasmine Romero's minivan pulled up. She got out, lifting her toddler from the car seat, looking around at all the cars with obvious confusion. When she came to the door, I greeted her with a smile. "Thank you so much for coming. Please, come in." "I'm sorry, I'm just confused. Daniel said this was a birthday party for someone named Marianne. I don't think we've met her." "You will, very soon." I gestured to the living room. "Please, make yourself comfortable." She joined the others, her daughter on her hip, looking lost. At 8:40, I stood in front of them all. "Thank you all for coming," I said quietly. "I need you to trust me. In 5 minutes, you're going to understand everything." Kevin's eyes narrowed. Albert started to speak, but I held up a hand. 5 minutes, please." I walked upstairs. Music drifted from the bedroom, Marianne's romantic playlist, songs we used to slow dance to in the kitchen, now playing for him. I stood outside the door for maybe 10 seconds. Thought about knocking. Being civilized. Giving them a chance to, what? Get dressed? Pretend this wasn't happening? No. I threw the door open. Marianne screamed. She was in our bed, sheets pulled to her chest, wearing black lace I'd never seen before. Daniel was beside her, scrambling for his pants, his face going white. For one frozen second, nobody moved. "Hey, honey," I said, my voice ice. "I'm home early. And I brought friends." "George," her face drained of all color. "George, this isn't what?" I stepped aside. The staircase behind me had filled with people. Kevin at the front, his jaw clenched. Diane with her hand over her mouth. Riley and Ellie frozen in shock. Fred staring like he couldn't process what he was seeing. Albert with his face turning purple. Clarice looking like she might collapse. And at the very front, Jasmine Romero, holding her daughter, staring at her husband with absolute devastation breaking across her face. "Isn't you sleeping with another man in our bed?" I continued, voice perfectly calm. "Because it looks exactly like that to me." "Daniel?" Jasmine's voice cracked. "Daniel, what is this?" "Baby, I can explain," Daniel started, still holding his pants. "Explain?" I interrupted. "Sure, let me help. You've been sleeping with my wife for 4 months. Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually the Hilton on West Street, room 412. Sometimes in the parking garage at work. And tonight, my bed. Did I miss anything?" Marianne was crying now, clutching the sheets. "George, please, not like this." "Not like what?" My voice rose. "You brought him into my home. You planned this while I was supposed to be gone. You looked me in the eye this morning and lied." Albert pushed forward, his whole body shaking. "Marianne Elizabeth Hanson, what the hell have you done?" "Daddy, don't you dare." His face was purple now. "Don't you dare make excuses." Jasmine had handed her daughter to Ellie and was advancing on the bed, her face twisted with fury. 4 months? 4 months? While I was home with our daughter?" "Jasmine, please," Daniel tried. "You don't get to say my name." Her voice shook. "You don't get to speak." She turned to me. "Do you have evidence? Photos?" I pulled out my phone, handed it to her. "Everything you need. Times, dates, locations. Hotel receipts where he used the credit card you share. He's been spending your money to cheat on you." Jasmine scrolled through it all, her hands shaking. Then she looked at Daniel. "Pack a bag tonight. You're not coming home. My lawyer will contact you Monday." She took her daughter back from Ellie and walked out. The sound of her car starting was the only noise for a full minute. Then I turned back to Marianne. "Get out of my bed. Get dressed. Get out of my house." "George, we can talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about." My control finally broke. "You destroyed 7 years of marriage for what?" "For him." I gestured at Daniel, who was dressed now, looking desperate for an exit. "You threw away everything we built, every promise you made, for a piece of garbage who was willing to cheat on his wife and infant daughter? It just happened." "Nothing just happens. You made choices. Every lie, every hotel room, every time you came home and kissed me after being with him, those were choices." I looked at everyone gathered. "This is who she really is. Remember that when she tells you her version, when she makes excuses, when she tries to make herself the victim. She's a liar and a cheater." Kevin put a hand on my shoulder. "Come on, man. Let's go downstairs." I shook him off. "No, she doesn't get to hide from this." I walked out. Marianne's sobbing followed me down the stairs. By midnight, everyone had left, except Kevin. We sat in the living room, the same room where 20 people had stood an hour ago, drinking bourbon straight from the bottle. "Hell of a party," Kevin said. I didn't smile. I pulled out my laptop instead. "Monday morning, I'm filing for divorce. Adultery, documented with evidence. No alimony, full asset protection." Kevin set down his glass. "You've been planning this?" "For 2 weeks. Since I got the first photos from Thomas." I took a long drink, felt it burn. 3 months ago, I moved half our savings into an account under my name only. Before you knew about the affair? Yeah, call it instinct. Something felt wrong, so I protected myself. I pulled up a spreadsheet, every asset, every expense, every dollar tracked. The house is secure. It was my inheritance from Grandpa, never in her name. I've documented everything we shared, everything we bought. She's gonna walk away with almost nothing. Kevin whistled low. "Remind me never to cross you. She made me this way." The words came out harder than I meant them. I loved her, man. I would have done anything for her. Built a life, started a family, grown old together, and she destroyed all of it for someone who wouldn't even leave his own wife. My phone started buzzing. Texts flooding in. Diane, I'm so sorry, George. We had no idea. Whatever you need, I'm here. Riley and Ellie. We're here for you, always. You deserved better than this. Fred. That took guts, brother. Proud of you for standing up. Then one that made me pause. Jasmine. Thank you for giving me the truth. If you need anything for the divorce, I'll testify. We're both free now. I showed Kevin the phone. Monday morning, she's going to wake up and realize everything's changed. No husband. Her family ashamed of her. Her friends knowing what she did. And legally, she's got nothing. What about you? Kevin asked. What are you going to do? I looked around the living room. Too quiet now. Too empty. Every corner held a memory that was poison now. Her laughing on that couch. Us dancing to old records by the window. Planning our future at the kitchen table just beyond the doorway. I'm going to rebuild, I said. I'm 33 years old. I've got a good job, a house, and the truth on my side. She took 7 years from me. I'm not giving her one more day. What I didn't know then was that Marianne wasn't done fighting. The weekend passed in a blur of cardboard boxes and silence. Kevin came back Saturday to help me pack up Marianne's things. Clothes, books, the decorative pillows she'd insisted on, the picture frames I couldn't stand to look at anymore. My phone rang 17 times. Every call from Marianne. I didn't answer a single one. Sunday night, I barely slept. Just stared at the ceiling, thinking about Monday morning. Monday at 8 a.m., I walked into Leslie Wright's office. She was exactly what I needed, a 50-year-old shark in a pantsuit who specialized in high-conflict divorces. I'd found her online Friday afternoon, called her from the garage while I waited for guests to arrive. This is excellent documentation, Leslie said, flipping through Thomas's evidence file. Documented adultery, financial records showing you as primary earner, clear asset separation. She's got no grounds for alimony in this state with fault-based divorce. How fast can we move? Papers filed today. She'll be served tomorrow. Leslie looked up. With this evidence, we can push for expedited proceedings. 6 weeks if she doesn't contest. She'll contest. Then we bury her in discovery. Every text, every hotel receipt, every lie. We make fighting us more expensive than walking away with nothing. I signed the papers. My hand didn't even shake. By noon, my marriage was officially in litigation. That afternoon, driving home, my phone started ringing again. Marianne. I let it go to voicemail. Then she called again. And again. 17 more times by the time I pulled into the driveway. Finally, a text. Please, George, I know I don't deserve it, but please talk to me. I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. We can fix this. I stared at those words. We can fix this. Like it was a broken vase. Like it was something you could glue back together. I showed Kevin the text when he came by that evening. You going to respond? Yeah, I typed. The only mistake was thinking you could do this without consequences. My lawyer will contact you. Don't come to the house. Don't call me. We're done. Her response came within seconds. You're really going to throw away 7 years over one mistake? I read it twice. Then I set the phone down. Kevin raised an eyebrow. Not answering? No, I said. The best revenge is silence. Monday morning, I'd already been sitting in Leslie Wright's waiting room for 10 minutes before my appointment. I'd retained her Friday afternoon, made the call from my car before driving home to set up cameras and finalize the guest list. Her office was exactly what I expected. Clean, professional, no family photos, no softness, just law books and framed degrees that screamed competence. At 8 sharp, her assistant led me back. Leslie Wright looked like someone who'd won 1,000 battles and remembered every one. 50, maybe older, with sharp eyes that assessed me the second I walked in. She wore a navy pantsuit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Mr. Adams? She gestured to the chair across from her desk. Let's see what we're working with. I handed her the evidence file Thomas had compiled. She opened it, started reading, and I watched her expression shift from professional interest to something close to satisfaction. This is excellent, she said after 5 minutes of silence. Documented adultery with timestamps, photographs, hotel receipts showing repeated encounters over 4 months. Financial records proving you're the primary earner. Clear asset separation. The house was your inheritance, never in her name. She looked up. She's got no grounds for alimony in this state. Not with fault-based divorce and this level of documentation. How fast can we move? Papers filed today. She'll be served tomorrow. Leslie leaned back in her chair. With this evidence, I can push for expedited proceedings. 6 weeks if she doesn't contest. She'll contest. Leslie smiled. It wasn't warm. Then we bury her in discovery. Every text message, every hotel receipt, every lie she told you documented and submitted to the court. We make fighting us more expensive and more humiliating than walking away with nothing. I thought about that. About Marianne getting box after box of evidence, seeing it all laid out in legal language, seeing exactly how thoroughly she'd destroyed us. Where do I sign? By noon, my marriage was officially in litigation. I sat in my car in Leslie's parking lot and felt nothing. No relief, no satisfaction, just empty. My phone buzzed. Marianne calling. I declined it. She called again. Declined. By the time I got home, she'd called 17 times. Kevin showed up that afternoon to help box the rest of Marianne's things. We'd gotten most of it done over the weekend, but there were still books, kitchen stuff, random crap she'd accumulated over 7 years. She's persistent, Kevin said, nodding at my phone as it lit up again with Marianne's name. She's desperate. I sent it to voicemail. Then a text came through. Please, George, I know I don't deserve it, but please talk to me. I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. We can fix this. I showed Kevin the screen. You going to respond? Yeah, I typed carefully. The only mistake was thinking you could do this without consequences. My lawyer will contact you. Don't come to the house. Don't call me. We're done. Her response came back in seconds. You're really going to throw away 7 years over one mistake? I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. One mistake. 4 months of lies, dozens of hotel visits, bringing him into our bed. All one mistake. Kevin raised an eyebrow. What's funny? She called 4 months of cheating one mistake. I set the phone down. Like she tripped and fell on his dick repeatedly for a third of a year. You going to answer that one? No. I picked up another box of her books. The best revenge is silence. Monday night, I barely slept. Kept staring at the ceiling, thinking about Marianne getting served with papers, imagining her face when she opened that envelope and saw it was real. Tuesday morning, I forced myself to go to work. Sat at my desk running system diagnostics, pretending everything was normal. My coworkers knew something was wrong. I looked like hell, barely slept in days. But nobody asked. Small mercies. Tuesday afternoon at 3, my phone rang. Leslie Wright. We have a problem, she said without preamble. She hired Gerald Sanders. I pulled up Google on my computer, typed in the name. Should that mean something to me? He's a piranha. Expensive, aggressive, and he specializes in making fault-based divorces messy. Leslie's voice was tight. He's going to argue emotional cruelty, that you humiliated her publicly and destroyed her reputation intentionally. I did. Yes, but he's going to use that. He'll claim the public confrontation was abusive, that you're unstable. He'll push for counseling requirements, delay tactics, maybe even try for a restraining order claiming you're a threat. Cold anger settled in my chest. She cheats on me for 4 months, and I'm the threat? In divorce court, George, it's not about truth. It's about narrative, and Sanders is very good at spinning narratives. Then we spin better. I kept my voice steady. We have evidence. We have witnesses. We have her family on our side. Do we? Leslie's tone was careful. Have you talked to them since Friday? I realized I hadn't. Not since watching Albert's face turn purple while he shouted at his daughter. Not since Clarice looked ready to collapse. Get me a list of everyone who was at that house, Leslie continued. I'm going to depose all of them. We need to lock in their testimony now before Sanders gets to them. I called Albert that evening. Needed to know where things stood. George, his voice was strained. How are you holding up? I'm fine. I wanted to make sure you got the divorce papers. We did. Marianne showed us. A long pause. George, listen. Clarice and I, we're on your side. What she did was unforgivable. But she's still our daughter. We can't just abandon her. I'm not asking you to abandon her. I gripped the phone tighter. I'm asking you to tell the truth if this goes to court. Silence stretched between us. When Albert spoke again, his voice was quieter. Her lawyer called us, said we might be subpoenaed, said anything we say could be used to hurt her financially. So Sanders was already working on them, already planting seeds of guilt. Albert, she hurt herself. I'm just making sure she doesn't take half of everything I've built in the process. I know, son. He sighed. We'll testify if we have to. We'll tell the truth. But Clarice is having a hard time. She's crying every day. This has torn our family apart. After we hung up, I sat in the dark living room and let myself feel the full weight of it. Sanders wasn't just attacking me legally. He was working Marianne's family, using their guilt, their love for her, to make them question whether I was being cruel. I called Leslie back. What do we do? We remind everyone why we're here. Send me that list tonight. I'll start scheduling depositions tomorrow. We're going to lock in their testimony now before Sanders can poison it. The next 2 weeks turned my life into a legal battlefield. Depositions, document requests, financial audits. Sanders was trying to prove I'd hidden marital assets, that the money I'd moved was hers too, that I'd stolen from her. Leslie destroyed him every time. Her client was committing adultery during the period this money was moved. My client was protecting assets he'd earned individually. He had every right to safeguard his finances from a spouse who was actively deceiving him. But Sanders landed a hit I didn't see coming. 2 weeks after I filed, I was back in Leslie's office staring at a subpoena. My therapy records? I looked up at her. From 2 years ago? From after your father died, yes. Leslie leaned forward. Sanders is trying to paint you as unstable. Someone with anger management issues who orchestrated that party as an act of dangerous revenge. Damn right it was revenge, I said, but legal revenge. The court doesn't like revenge. They like protecting oneself from harm. She pulled out a legal pad. We need to reframe everything. Not revenge, justice. Not humiliation, truth-telling. Not anger, righteous indignation. We spent hours on it. How to talk about what I'd done without sounding like a vindictive bastard, even though that's exactly what I'd been. How to make the court see that I'd had every right to expose her, to protect myself, to ensure consequences. Meanwhile, word kept spreading. I heard through Jasmine that Daniel had been fired, not officially for the affair. They couldn't do that legally. But for hostile work environment after Jasmine sent the evidence to HR showing he'd been sleeping with a subordinate. Marianne had been moved to a different department. Demoted. They called it restructuring, but everyone knew what it really was. Then came the email. Long, rambling. Sanders probably didn't know about it. You've destroyed my career, my reputation, my family relationships. You humiliated me in front of everyone I love. This isn't justice, George. This is cruelty. The man I married would never have done this. I read it once, printed it, took it to Leslie. This is gold, she said, scanning the pages. She's admitting the consequences are real, which validates our evidence. And she's attacking your character, which opens the door for us to present more proof of her affair. She's right, though. I stared at the email. The man she married wouldn't have done this. Leslie looked at me. That man doesn't exist anymore. She killed him. 6 weeks after filing, I sat across a conference table from Marianne for the first time since that Friday night. The mediator, a woman named Annie Rodriguez, sat at the head of the table, patient and professional. Leslie was beside me, notepad open, expression neutral. Gerald Sanders sat beside Marianne. And Marianne. Christ, she looked terrible. She'd lost weight. Dark circles hollowed her eyes. Her hair hung flat and unstyled, nothing like the polished woman who used to spend an hour getting ready every morning. For a second, just a second, I felt something like pity. Then Sanders opened his mouth. My client is willing to forego alimony, he said smoothly, in exchange for 40% of liquid assets and shared equity in the marital home. Leslie actually laughed, out loud. The home that was solely inherited by my client? The assets my client earned while your client was sleeping with another man? She shook her head. Absolutely not. Your client publicly humiliated mine. Your client destroyed a 7-year marriage through documented adultery. My client simply told the truth to people who deserved to know it. They went back and forth for an hour. Sanders trying to paint me as vindictive, Leslie hammering home the facts, hotel receipts, timestamps, photographs, evidence that didn't care about anyone's feelings. Finally, Annie held up a hand. Let me ask something different. She turned to Marianne. Mrs. Adams, what would you need to walk away from this marriage? Marianne looked at me, really looked at me for the first time since we'd sat down. I just want him to admit he still loves me, her voice cracked. That this is all because he's hurt, not because he hates me. The room went completely silent. I took a slow breath. Marianne, I did love you. Past tense. You killed that love. You didn't make a mistake. You made hundreds of choices over 4 months to lie to me every single day. You destroyed us. I kept my voice level. And no, I don't hate you. I hate what you did. I hate what you turned me into. But you're just a stranger now. She started crying. Sanders put a hand on her shoulder, shot me a look like I was the monster here. 20% of liquid assets, Leslie said into the silence. Sign a non-disclosure agreement about the marriage and divorce. No claims against the house. Final offer. Sanders leaned close to Marianne, whispered something. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. We accept. That evening I celebrated. Kevin and Fred met me at our usual bar, and we got properly drunk for the first time in weeks. You did it, Fred said, raising his glass. You actually won. To Ireland, Kevin added. Finally taking that trip you've been talking about for years. We made plans, real plans. I was going to take 2 weeks off, fly to Dublin, forget about all of this for a while. Thursday passed normally. Work, gym, leftovers for dinner. I went to bed feeling lighter than I had in months. Friday morning, everything fell apart. I woke up to 17 missed calls from Leslie. Still groggy, I called her back. She answered on the first ring. Don't go online, don't check social media, don't talk to anyone. I sat up fast. What happened? Marianne posted something last night. A blog post. It's gone viral. 30,000 shares in 12 hours. I hung up, grabbed my laptop. There it was, top result when I searched my name. My abusive marriage, how my husband destroyed my life for public entertainment. I clicked it, started reading. She'd written thousands of words. How I'd psychologically abused her for years, isolated her from friends, controlled the finances. How when she finally found someone who made her feel alive again, she actually wrote that. I'd orchestrated a public humiliation to destroy her reputation. She'd painted herself as a victim of abuse, seeking escape. Me as a controlling monster. The affair as her only way out. The comments made my stomach turn. This is horrifying. He's a psychopath. She needs a restraining order. This man is dangerous. My phone started ringing. My boss. I didn't answer. It rang again. My mother. Again. People I hadn't talked to in years. They'd all seen it. Everyone had seen it. I sat there staring at the screen, at thousands of people calling me an abuser based on nothing but her words, and realized something. I hadn't won anything. Friday bled into Saturday, and Saturday into Sunday, and I watched the numbers climb. 50,000 shares, 75,000. By Sunday afternoon, over 100,000 people had read Marianne's version of our marriage. Someone found my LinkedIn. The comments started rolling in. Abuser. Narcissist. Hope you lose everything. My work email filled with messages from strangers telling me I deserved to rot. Sunday night, I sat in the living room. Lights off, bottle of whiskey half empty, and I almost gave up. Almost called Leslie and told her to give Marianne whatever she wanted. Just make it stop. My phone rang. I almost didn't answer. George, it's Jasmine. I closed my eyes. Hey, I saw the post, and I need you to know. It's all lies. I know that. No, listen to me. Her voice was fierce. Daniel tried the same thing. Claimed I was abusive, controlling, all of it. His lawyer tried to flip the whole narrative, but I had evidence. Texts, emails, recordings of conversations. I destroyed him in court, George. Destroyed him. I opened my eyes. Jasmine, I don't have recordings. But you have witnesses. You have her family. You have medical records showing no history of abuse, therapy records showing you sought help after your dad died, work reviews showing you're stable. You have Thomas's investigation showing she planned this affair, that she was researching divorce lawyers while she was still sleeping with you. She paused. You have the truth. We can beat this. But you have to fight back. Something clicked. Marianne had words. I had evidence. Thank you, I said quietly. We're both getting through this, she said. But we have to fight. Monday morning, 9 a.m., I sat across from Leslie and a crisis management consultant named Vince Parker. We're not responding to the blog, Vince said. We're going to let the evidence speak. One interview, just one, with a credible journalist. We provide all documentation, Thomas's full report, the timeline, financial records. Everything. Won't that look like I'm attacking her? No. Vince leaned forward. It will look like you're defending yourself. There's a difference. Attacking is going after someone unprovoked. Defending is responding to false accusations with facts. He'd already reached out to Jasmine, Diane, and Riley. All three had agreed to speak on my behalf. "We tell the truth," Vince said. "That's all. Just the truth." The article ran 1 week later. The Other Side of a Viral Divorce by Brody Clarkson. Major online publication. I didn't read it at first. Couldn't stomach it. But Leslie called me that afternoon. "It's good," she said. "Really good." I pulled it up. Brody had reviewed everything, every piece of evidence, every witness statement. Diane's interview made my chest tight. I was there the night George discovered the affair. What he's being accused of isn't what happened. He's not a villain. He's a man who was destroyed by someone he trusted. Riley and Ellie talked about watching Marianne lie for months, how they'd seen me deteriorate without knowing why. Jasmine discussed the hotel receipts, Daniel's firing, the evidence of sustained deception. Thomas Whitmore provided his full investigative report. The part that hit hardest: Marianne had been researching divorce lawyers during the affair. She'd been planning to leave me anyway. She just wanted to secure finances first. The article ended with one simple question: who's really the victim here? The backlash was immediate. Comments that had supported Marianne turned vicious. Her blog post got taken down. I don't know if she deleted it or the platform removed it for violating terms. People who'd called me a monster were now apologizing, backtracking, turning their fury on her. Wednesday afternoon, Leslie called. "Sanders just contacted me. He's panicking. Marianne's getting death threats now, harassment, the whole thing. She wants to settle. Immediately." "Okay. 10% of liquid assets. No house claim. No NDA. She just wants this over." I felt cold settle in my chest. "No." "What?" "I want the original deal. 20%. NDA included." My voice was level. "She tried to destroy me, Leslie. She tried to paint me as an abuser to tens of thousands of people. She doesn't get a better deal for that." Leslie was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'll let him know." The final settlement conference was nothing like the first mediation. We sat in the same conference room, me and Leslie on one side, Marianne and Sanders on the other. But the energy had completely shifted. Marianne didn't look up when I walked in. She'd lost more weight. Her clothes hung loose. Dark circles made her eyes look sunken. Sanders barely spoke, just slid the papers across the table. 20% of liquid assets. NDA in place. No claim to the house. Marianne signed without reading. Her hand shook, but she got through all 6 pages. When it was done, Leslie and I walked out into bright autumn sunlight. The air was crisp, leaves turning orange and gold along the street. "You won," Leslie said. "I know." But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. 2 months later, I stood in the living room of the house, legally, fully mine, and realized it didn't feel like home anymore. Every corner held a memory now poisoned. The kitchen where I'd made her breakfast, the bedroom where I'd found them, the garage where I'd watched him kiss her. I put it on the market, sold in 3 weeks, bought a condo downtown with a view of the river. Clean, modern, no ghosts. I'd stayed in touch with Jasmine, not romantically. We were both too damaged for that. But as friends who understood each other in ways no one else could. She'd gotten full custody of her daughter. Daniel was paying significant child support while living in a studio apartment, working retail after losing everything. He tried to see Riley last week, Jasmine told me over coffee one afternoon. She wouldn't even look at him, just sat there silent until his hour was up. How old is she now? 4. Old enough to remember him leaving, not old enough to understand why. Jasmine stirred her coffee. "I heard Marianne moved, out of state." I'd heard the same from Diane. Marianne had changed her name on social media, tried to disappear from the internet. But her career in marketing was over. The viral blog post and Brody's expose had made her unhireable. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I just felt tired. One evening, I met Kevin at our usual bar. "You did it," he said, raising his glass. "Justice." "Yeah, but?" I thought about how to explain it. 7 years to build a life with her. 4 months to watch it get destroyed. 3 months to win it back. I got the house, the money, my reputation. But I lost 7 years, Kevin. Lost the ability to trust. Lost the man I was before all this. Maybe that's not entirely bad. Kevin leaned back. That man let people take advantage. This version doesn't. He was right. But it still hurt. 6 months after the divorce finalized, Diane sent me a message. Marianne wanted me to tell you she's sorry. Really, truly sorry. She knows it doesn't change anything. But she needed you to know. I read it twice, then deleted it. She didn't get to apologize her way to redemption. 1 year after the party, I was sitting in my condo reviewing a business proposal when my phone rang. Fred. Hey man, I've got someone I want you to meet. Remy Garcia. Landscape architect, sharp as hell, good sense of humor. You interested? I surprised myself by saying yes. We went out 3 times in 2 weeks. She knew my story. Everyone did, really. And she didn't run. You seem like someone who knows what he wants now, she said on our second date. I know what I don't want. That's a start. She smiled. I'll take it. Information about Marianne still found me occasionally. Diane mentioned she'd been fired from another job. Reliability issues, which was code for couldn't handle the stress. She'd moved back in with her parents, who were elderly now and struggling to support an adult daughter who'd destroyed her own life. Jasmine told me Daniel had tried to reconcile with her. He showed up at my house after I told him never to contact me. I got a restraining order. He lost visitation rights for 3 months. I should have felt triumphant. I felt nothing. 2 years after the party, I was closing on a house in the suburbs. Fresh start. No memories. Remy and I had gotten serious. We were talking about moving in together. Maybe marriage someday. This time, I knew what red flags looked like. This time, I protected myself while staying open. Over dinner one evening, Remy asked, "Do you ever regret it? The party, the exposure, all of it?" I thought carefully. No. She made choices. I made choices. She chose betrayal. I chose truth. The consequences are hers to live with. You lived with consequences too. Yeah, but on my terms. She destroyed us privately, bit by bit, for months. I ended it in one night. Witnesses, evidence, truth. She gambled I'd be too weak to fight back. I met Remy's eyes. She lost. Remy took my hand. I'm glad you fought back. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been available when I met you. That night, I thought about what my grandfather told me before he died. The world will hurt you, George. People you love will hurt you. What matters isn't whether you fall. It's whether you get back up and make them regret knocking you down. I got back up. Marianne was living in her childhood bedroom at 43, working jobs she couldn't keep, watching friends move forward while she stayed stuck. Her viral story followed her everywhere. Her dating life was non-existent. Her history was one Google search away. Daniel was working warehouse night shifts, his daughter refusing to speak to him even during court-mandated visits. And me? I was planning a future with a woman who chose me with clear eyes. Advancing a career I'd built on honesty, filling a new house with new memories. Sometimes people ask if I'd do anything differently. They expect regret, expect me to say the party was too far, the exposure cruel, the revenge excessive. I look them in the eye and tell them the truth. I'd do it exactly the same way again. She didn't just cheat. She disrespected me, lied to me, brought him into our bed, our home, our life. She gambled I'd be too broken to fight back. She chose wrong. Now she lives with that choice every day, while I built something beautiful from what she destroyed. That's not revenge. That's justice. I believe stories such as this find us for a reason. If this one touches you, please subscribe. I share a new one every day. In the meantime, there are 2 stories on the screen that are even better.